Okay, now in the last video, my lady sent me a special message halfway through the video, and I thought I'd mention the fact that she doesn't know I'm making a video, she doesn't know what I'm doing, and she's just tuned in to the cosmos, the cosmic order, if you like, and she's sending me things in real time as I need them. And what the lady does is she's more directly connected, and so she can get these special messages to people if she needs to, or if nature needs to, not her. She's just obeying the will of nature. And in centuries and aeons gone by, she would have been sitting on the tripod of Delphi. You know, she's that kind of lady. She's a mystical lady. A mystical lady is a lady who's had mystical experiences and knowledge of higher worlds, beyond and above our own reality. And some of us get glimpses into that higher reality. And we call these glimpses mystical experiences. And you, the listener, may have had mystical experiences of varying degrees, and if you haven't, you will eventually have mystical experiences, and these experiences will continue through your entire career as a member of the Natural Order of Bards, Poets and Druids. Okay, now in her message that Elizabeth sent to me, she mentioned the Incarnation, and I suppose I need to say something about the Incarnation. There are two births that a man can have, and a lady too, I suppose. Although the lady's pathway is different to the man's, and it's actually an opposite pathway. An inside-outside difference, if you like. Same but different. And so all of us come into this world through a physical body, and we incarnate into that body, yet we have no knowledge, no memory of that incarnation, because that memory is erased. Now, when nature brings you back into reality, boom, some people call that experience the born-again experience, because that's all they've had so far. So, well, that must be it, okay? Because all we know is what we've experienced ourselves, and what other people have told us they've experienced, but we can't know what the reality of that experience, what that experience is. We can only know from our own experience, and we can only assume that our own experience is universal. We cannot know if it's a universal or not. We just assume that it's universal. The dog's barking here because there are many lies about a mystical experience. You could have a mystical experience which is the opposite of a real mystical experience. It's like a nightmare, yeah? And this is on the demonic pathway. If you're going down through levels of drugs and alcohol, stuff like that, down to suicide is the end of that journey. Or murder in war. So there's two directions to the pathway. You can go up or you can go down. Well, we're talking about the upward journey now, okay? And before one becomes a bard, before I ever became a bard, hit the road, I'd had a number of mystical experiences. And I'd had the experience of being awakened into reality that I described in the previous video. And then I'd had the experience of I and the Father are one. I and the Father are one. Okay. Which is that I was the Father in heaven and I was incarnating into the body. Okay. And it was a memory of my actual birth. Okay. Of the Father, God the Father, coming down from heaven into this body to appear in the world. Right? And at that point, I could say, I and the Father are one. Okay. Something that Jesus was able to say. And I presume anybody who's had that experience is able to say that, those words. It brings them to a level on the pathway. Now, the interesting thing is the Father had to sneak out of heaven. Heaven is the higher worlds. The higher worlds beyond the world, kingdom of the world, which is looked after over by certain powers. I, as the Father, had to sneak past those powers to enter the world. That was my experience of it. I just share that with you. Okay, now, shortly after having that experience, I don't think there was a long time that went between that experience and the next one. Less than a year, I think. Might have been the same summer. Because I remember it was summer. I was staying at a master's house. I'd come into contact and met an 80-year-old man, John McDonnell, who was already a master, and he was given to me on the pathway to help me as an apprentice before I became a bard. Okay, so you have to serve time as an apprentice to a master before you can become a bard, hit the road, Jack. And so I was sleeping at his house, and I woke up in the morning, and I just knew it was like a birth. It was a real, actual birth. Okay, like I was born, boom, and I was Adam. Okay, I just knew I was Adam, the first man, Adam, the first man, and that is son of man. Okay, and so, and this was 1 AD. I knew this was 1 AD. Like it was like the star of a new thing. And so those are my two experiences to get to the beginning of the pathway. 3 experiences really. And I share that with you, and you may have similar experiences, or your experiences may be different. I cannot know. Those are my experiences. My lady died physically in the body, went to heaven and had a meeting with God, and was given a mission and sent back down again. Okay. Many years before I was born. Not born, before I was born again. Yeah, many years before that. And so I feel that we share a destiny, the two of us. And we were also born on the same day of the year. She was born in the evening and I was born in the morning of the 26th and 27th of April, the turnover there. Something special there, and it's interesting. It's interesting. Okay, I think that's enough about the incarnation. Yeah, that there are, in my case, there were these 3 different experiences: the physical birth, the incarnation of God into the physical body, and then the incarnation of Adam into the physical body later on in life, later on in life. When I was about, I think about 50, just over 50. It must have been before 50 because I'm 71 now. So it would have been before then. Just a little bit. Okay. Perhaps it's not enough. I'll show you this picture here. You see, this is a little Christ child, and this is the mother of the Christ child. And mystically, this represents my lady, who's also my mother, who's also my daughter, and this is me. Okay, and there's a mystical association here of mother, father, daughter, concubine, male and female is one. And the divine couple is not two, it's really a one, single thing. And you'll notice that even in the marriage ceremony it said, let what God has brought together, no man break asunder. So that's the sacred fact of the bond of coupleship. I'll leave you on that note. Thanks for watching. Oh, and I forgot to mention that there's also the issue of past lives, because we are ancient, some of us are ancient souls, and some of us are not ancient souls, and the ancient souls are the ones who are about now in the world. They come back in the end time, and you can see that the end time is for each nation has its own separate end time. At the moment we have the Israeli and the Iranian end time going on, and we've had the Ukrainian end time happening, and so these they don't all happen at the same time. The end time is for nations, and Germany had its end time in World War II, and the British Empire had its end time then at the same time. You'll see it ended. And so these orders change from time to time, and out of an end time comes a new flowering, if you like. That's always been the way it was. The time of Jesus, well, shortly thereafter was the end of the Jews. They were all wiped out by the Romans and ended up wandering the world after that. So, the incarnation with respect to past lives. Well, I had the experience of being Adam, the first man, and that's who I was. I was, in the past life, Adam, the first man. And my lady had the experience of being Elizabeth of Thuringia. Elizabeth of Thuringia is a 12th century or 13th century, 13th, 12th century saint, of the highest saint in Europe at the time of St. Francis. St. Francis was the highest male initiate in Europe, and Elizabeth of Thuringia was the highest female initiate in Europe at the time. And my lady knows she is Elizabeth of Thuringia. So she knows she is that in a different way, opposite way to the way I know that I am Adam, okay? And it's the time of Adam now, because so Adam has beginning, Adam has his end, and there are, at the moment we're in the end of a 26,000 year cycle, and there's also the 52 years, 1,000 year cycle as well. And so it's a great moment in history that we're all sitting. We can't help ourselves. It's what we are. It's part of what we are. And so many of you are old souls, ancient souls. So we're all put here together. Yeah? And we fought the Watchers in the times of Enoch and went through the Great Flood. We've done all these things. We've been a part of history, throughout history, passed through the Egyptian time of the Egyptians, nations, pyramids, and all that. We've been through all that. And so, some of us have, and Elizabeth has, I have, and I assume many of you have, but we can only talk from our own experience. And what happens to us from when we enter this journey is we sometimes meet people who are clairvoyant. Okay, they have abilities to see beyond what we can normally see, time and space and so on, and they can see who we were in previous lives. And so you may meet somebody like that who will tell you different things about yourself that you may need to know about your past lives. Yeah. Whenever I've been to a clairvoyant and they've had anything to say, it's always been the same. It's always been, yeah, you are very ancient, very, 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 very ancient. That's all they can say. And I've been told that I was an Egyptian priest at one time, the time of Hermes, that time. Not a lot else, just that I'm very old. And Elizabeth is always confirmed that she's Elizabeth of Thuringia. Always, always. Everybody says, you are Elizabeth of Thuringia. The people in the street say, you are her. You have to be her. Because of the way she lives her life. Because Elizabeth of Thuringia is the symbol of saving grace, if you like, of compassion and of charity. Charity is a word, charity. And when her and I met, it was an act of charity that she helped me. I've said enough. The dogs are barking. Thank you for watching.